Okay. All right. I am back. Um, Hello, everyone. Today we are talking about how cheap does not equate to quality. These are some of the things that we're talking about tonight. I feel like some people might think they're self explanatory, but I feel like we forget about these things as we move through life and sometimes in business. So I just wanted to make video reminders. As I shared, as our YouTube channel grows, I'm trying to make sure that I'm putting out that content that is surrounded around the topics that help people to elevate, grow, and challenge themselves to think about things in a different light. So the next topic that I'm discussing is cheap does not equate to quality. A lot of times in the business world, at least for entrepreneurs, we're trying to find services that will help our business grow and will polish our brand. And so when we see services that are at a discounted price, it makes us feel like this is obtainable, this is achievable, this is one step closer to my goal that I'm trying to reach. But it's really important to understand that sometimes it's best to either A, not make the purchase and do the research and wait, or B, just wait and go and purchase the option that might be a little bit more costly, but it's done with quality. And the reason being is because just like in a regular business where a person may purchase a service or a product, it's important to understand that when you're purchasing business to business services as well, it's the same thing. There's funding that is required in order to produce that product, right? There's also funding that is required in order to produce a business to business product or service. So, for example, if you are wanting, um, let's say you want a course designed for your business, and someone says, I'll design a course at $50 for you. It sounds like a great price, right? However, the things that you have to ask that person is, what is the quality going to look like? What will this project entail? Who's going to be completing it? What's the time frame? Things like this, because with $50, you're not really able to outsource a lot with $50. So that business owner is going to be responsible for delivering that business to business service to you. And they're most likely not outsourcing it. They're going to do it themselves. And the question you have to ask is, do they have the quality to produce that? And sometimes going and getting it done for $2,000 or $5,000, even though it may sound like a lot, is going to make a lot more sense because you're not going to have to go and purchase more than one of the same exact thing in order to see that result, to see the product that you're looking for. So cheap does not always equate to worth it. I want to remind entrepreneurs that might be going through a hard time, struggling, trying to figure out how to find their ground, that it can be a lonely road. And sometimes you do feel like you're alone and you feel vulnerable. But it's important to really take the time to research if something is a good fit for you, because it makes no sense to buy something if you're going to have to go back and buy it again. Like if I buy um, a social media manager to, service me and do this product for me, but then I realize that the quality is not good, the flyers don't look nice, the content or the conversations aren't positive, or whatever the case may be, I'm going to have to go and buy that again, right? So it's double work. So instead of doing double work, you do the research one time, you make the decision one time, and then you proceed with the next step. And that's one of the best ways to cut out wasting time as an entrepreneur, because oftentimes that is a huge time waster when you're having to go and fix things that really would not have had occurred if we would have went with an option that cost a little more money, because it gave you the funding for the project to deliver it at a great quality. So if you're looking for quality, don't focus on pricing. Obviously, you're going to have a certain level of funding that you're able to deliver, and that's okay. There are going to be brands out there that will work with that funding. There are going to be brands that won't work with that funding. But what's most important is that you don't see something that's cheap and automatically equate it to it being valuable. That's what's most important. It's not to say that there aren't things out there that are cheap price and are very valuable. For example, if you're wanting a professional one-page website done that looks similar to a landing page with business information, a shopping section, you can get that done under $200. A website or a landing page can cost you anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000, depending on who's doing it, the quality of it, and even sometimes when the quality is not all that great, it still can cost you a lot of money. And that's because someone who has been in the industry of design, whether it was through a degree or whether it was through years of experience, may charge a lot more, because designing anything takes time, effort, energy, intention. And so people charge a lot for that. So normally you would pay a pretty penny for that professional, clean, crisp landing page, right? However, if you go to a business like QuickSite that is verified in our directory, They provide websites at the price of just $100. If you're wanting a website at $100 and you want it delivered to you within 1 to 3 business days, you purchase your website, you send the information on the colors, the business, and all that, and then you get it completed within 1 to 3 business days. If you want it done within 24 hours, you can purchase the website and you can purchase a 24-hour rush service where your stuff will be delivered in 24 hours instead of within 1 to 3 business days. Now, those two things that I just mentioned are already extremely expensive. Normally, to get a website done, it's going to cost you a lot of money, like I said. But also, to get any service done and want it done expedited, it's going to cost you a lot of money, depending on your service provider and what their inquiries are, and also what their clientele, I guess, base looks like. If they have a lot of clients, it's probably going to take you some. And then if they don't have as many clients, maybe it won't cost you as much. Because what it means is that they're going to have to work overnight. They're going to have to, push past those business hours to make sure that this project is done by this date instead of the date that it's scheduled to be completed by. So I say all this to say sometimes cheap does not equate to quality, but it doesn't mean you can't find some great solutions out there that will have quality and just so happen to be cheap. So QuickSite was one example that I gave you. And you can visit our website, bossbabeblog.com, or you can just go to QuickSite, but they're listed in our directory. If you have further questions about them, you have inquiries, send it to our contact us page, and then you'll get a link. We'll make sure you get all their information. But that's just one example. Let's see. There's other examples as well. But my goal here is just to show you that you don't have to break the bank to grow your business. You don't have to spend over $1 million. That's what I've always preached, because sometimes in business, people will make you feel like if you're not spending $1 million, then that means that you're not going to be successful. Sometimes they'll make you feel like if you don't have this fancy gadget or this fancy item, then you're not going to be successful. And that's so far from the truth, because so many successful individuals started out with almost nothing or little to nothing, and they had to build and grow. So instead of having the mindset of, if I only had this, then I'd be able to do that, have the mindset of, I am capable and I have everything that I need right now to achieve greatness for my business and for my dreams. And when you focus on that mindset, you will start to see growth in your brand and in your mind. And so I just want to put that out there. But the goal is not to discourage people. It's not to make you feel like you have to break the bank in order to get business services. It's to get people to see that just because something is cheap doesn't mean that it's going to be of quality, and it doesn't mean that it's going to be worth your time, because you may actually be wasting it by having to go and get something redone because it's not done at the quality that you were expecting it to be done at. So it's important not to associate cheap with worth it. Like, oh, this is cheap, that means it's worth it. It doesn't necessarily mean that. What's worth it is when you get something delivered to you and it's delivered with quality. That is what is worth it. Quality that you can utilize to help grow your business or polish the perception of your business when it comes to business advertising, marketing, and branding services, right? But then back to the other side of what I said, which is, do not get discouraged, because you can find items that are of quality. You can find products that are of quality, services that are of quality without breaking the bank, and it be a little cheaper. So I gave that example of QuickSite, of how the website might cost that. If you're someone that needs, professional business flyers, you can go and get those done. If you're needing digital products, I mean, we have so many different professionals in our directory alone that can assist with that, and their price points are all different. A great example too would be, for me, I have a lot of clients that are wanting detailed website work, meaning they're wanting 1 to 4 business pages. They're wanting SEO, search engine optimization work. They're wanting lead funneling systems or ways to attract leads on their website. They're wanting detailed, information in multiple pages. It's not a 1-page landing page thing. And that for me will require time, because as people have seen with my work, I focus on crispness, I focus on clarity, and I focus on visual attraction. That's what I focus on. So if you're wanting clean, crisp visuals while also still having fun with your brand colors, while also still remaining professional, then it's really important that you do not look for cheap. You look for what's of quality and what or who can produce quality. So for my website branding services, it can cost you anywhere from, depending on how you're wanting it, because if you're just wanting the website alone, it's going to be somewhere around $800 to $1,000. It just depends on what you're needing on the website. And it can go all the way up to like $5,000 to $7,000, depending on the work that you're wanting done. So that's around the range that you would get for a professional website. However, I'm going to repeat again. We also have other brands like QuickSite that provides a website at just $100. and you can get a one-page landing page. So even though you might need one, doesn't mean that you can't get one at a cheaper price that is of quality. I hope that I, expressed that clearly, but it's just a reminder that I wanted to leave with entrepreneurs that are trying to grow their brand. I don't want you to ever feel discouraged like you can't grow just because you don't have $1 million, because that's not the case. If you don't have $1,000 to spend on a business to business service, but in the same breath, I also don't want you to make the mistake of thinking that because something is at a cheaper price, that means that the product or the service that will be produced for you is going to be of quality, because that is not always going to be the case. In many cases, that won't be the case. So keep that in mind on your journey. Make sure to take the time to research if things make sense for you, but also remember that things do take investment. It may not always be a money investment. Sometimes it'll be a time investment. Sometimes it'll be a intentionalism investment, but things take investment. So when you see something that's cheap, remember that, and don't automatically assume that it's going to be worth it simply because it's cheap. That's the message. And I do want to let everybody know where we're at when it comes to what our next message of the night is, because we have a few. So just give me 1 second. Let me see where we're at. Should be on my business page, either my Instagram business page or my Facebook business page is where this was posted with a list of all the topics that we'll be discussing this evening. It might be private on the business page though, or on your Facebook. Okay, so we already talked about how accessibility or availability does not equate to quality. It doesn't. We talked about how cheap does not equate to quality. My next video, I'm going to be doing a Soft Girl Sunday recap, and I just want to shout out all of the wonderful entrepreneurs that were a part of making this beautiful. And then we'll also be sharing 3 must-haves for entrepreneurs, and then also business owners, 5 business owners that I think you should know based off of what I feel like they deliver very beautifully. And then 10 business resources that I think you should try out that may help support your brand with growing. A lot of these resources will be free. A few of them may be paid, but all of them will be of quality. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in about 5 to 10 minutes.